guys, I'm here with Richard Houlihan. So we met after all the episodes that we had, the podcast episodes that we had, and recently we had the episodes about Eudamed delay, which
a good episode.
A good episode, yeah. A lot of comments from people, a lot of things that were really interesting to say there. So we are today at MEDICA 2019 here in Düsseldorf.
And it's huge.
It's huge.
It took me 30 minutes to find them.
For me, yeah, it was really crazy because I thought it was really a big hall and everything will be inside, but no, there is 11, 17, I don't know. I see the numbers, but I don't know if at the end there is an end of this number. So it's so huge. So we are here in all 7, I think, 7-1 for consumables. And we are trying to meet. You have your meeting this afternoon, I think.
Yes, I have a presentation that Spectaris asked me to do. And it's basically to give an overview of Eudamed, where the commission is, the wonderful news about the delay, the MDCG bit about the legacy devices, that whereas they were going to be March 2020, now it's 2022, and that you're going to need to maintain all your legacy, not your legacy, but your vigilance information. Yeah. Keep it in a bundle, store it in-house. Confidential information in there, so be very careful where you store it and be very careful who you trust to mind it for you. Yeah, because that's going to be for 2 years.
Yeah, it's going to be for 2 years, and I looked at this MIR form, and it's
huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I saw also that you need the IMD-RF annexes for it because there is some codes that you have to have there. I will try to create an article for that, so just to explain to you how to use it. Because even me, when I looked at it, I said, I thought it was really a small form with easy information, but no, there is a lot of information to provide there. I will try to make that for you.
And it's legally binding from January.
Yeah, exactly, legally binding from January. So you have to make that happen from January, and put that also on your procedures that people are not using your old form or anything, so put that on the procedures. One thing that I wanted to ask you, so I had a lot of questions about Eudamed related to the UDI number.
Yeah.
So we have to use the UDI number that is the one, if I can say, provided by GS1, HIBBCC, or...
You don't have to use it.
Okay.
For legacy devices, they don't have UDIs. Okay. Or some of them do, the ones in America do, and various other places. But if you don't have a UDI-DI, Eudamed will generate one for you, and it's going to be generated in the format of GS1. But if you do have, for argument's sake, if it's a legacy device that you're adding later on, and you put in your current UDI, then you would select Eudamed as the issuing entity, and they will add, I think it's a B hyphen, and then create a basic UDI from that. Okay. And then a D hyphen will be the so that when time comes, you've got your MDD device, you transition to MDR. When you add your new MDR record, then it will obviously be without these B hyphen, D hyphen, but it'll join the two records. So from the public's perspective, there'll be a full transparency, full path.
So just to clarify, the UDI-DI, usually we had to go to buy this kind of number from GS1 and everything. Now you are saying that Eudamed will provide you this UDI-DI, or?
Only for legacy devices that do not already have one.
Okay, but for new devices,
for MDR devices, GS1, IFA, H.
I cannot remember those.
They have too many letters in it. Too many letters.
But
it's not a good sales technique.
Yeah, I created an article also on that on UDI. So there is all the one that are authorized to provide.
4 of them.
There is 4 now. Yeah. I think they will provide maybe more, but for now there is 4.
Yeah.
And about the UDI, if you have already a UDI that is valid for FDA, then can you use this UDI number for the MDR products?
Same one.
Okay.
Same one.
Same one. So no need to change the MDR, the UDI number for Eudamed. But
just keep track.
Yeah, keep track. But we have to wait until May 2022 now to make this transition between the legacy.
Yeah. And I was thinking more about this 2022, and with all the data that's going to descend on Eudamed, if you could imagine 2 years of vigilance. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you can't enter a vigilance record before a device. So you're actually going to have to batch up your devices first, then come back and put in all your legacy devices, or your vigilance records. But you're going to have to put them all in because, like I said in the thing, MDR needs the full track all the way in. But all that data, if you think of your company with your 2, 3, 4, 10, 20,000 devices, whatever the case may be, that's a lot of work. If you can imagine that multiplied by 80,000 companies, all descending on Eudamed at once, that's huge. It's an IT nightmare.
So so be prepared, start a project on that, and don't wait for the last minute for that. And you are, as we said on the podcast, so you are also making some trainings on that to help people to have them ready.
Yes.
So go also to the episode that we have done, so podcast.easymedicaldevice.com/50, and you can download also some information about trainings that which I do.
And there's the discount that was given from Monir.
I saw the name Monir's Christmas present. So go there and get that data. Something else from your side?
No, all good.
Just one thing, MDCG. We were saying that MDCG had a meeting and maybe they will say nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nobody spoke.
So we are still waiting the information from the MDCG regarding the Eudamed, how manufacturers should continue or do, what are answering all the questions that they are having about this Eudamed delay. But I hope I will have another video about that as soon as MDCG is releasing some more information about it. Good.
Monir.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure, my friend.
Thank you. Bye.
Good meeting you.
Hey guys, I just met with Kania that I had on my episode of the podcast. So he's from Meddevo. So I just met him in MEDICA, so what a good surprise. It's so huge here that it's really a chance to meet people.
I said, I know that face. Yeah. But guess what? We met at the Food Plaza directly here in MEDICA.
I think it's where all people will be meeting together. So, Mikael, just explain us a bit more for people that maybe don't know what is Meddevo, so that you can maybe see that.
As we talked a little bit about digitalization, the last episode we had, and basically just imagine a digital technical documentation. No more paper, no more offline processes, and of course, let's say a synchronization between QM processes and technical documentation. So no more disorders, no more deviations between these two worlds. And I mean, those two worlds are, let's say, moving closer and closer together when you're reading also the Annex 2 and the MDR, when you, for instance, in-process control should be part, the outputs, the reports should be part of the technical documentation. So as an example like this, and so Meddevo is doing basically a digital technical documentation, and for next year, heads up, it's really tremendous changes.
Breaking news,
it's really
exclusivity.
It's so huge. I mean, we are putting post-market surveillance management, clinical data management, and risk management into Meddevo. So all these processes are moving together, and then you have a real living technical documentation in the digital age.
If you change one thing, it will change that everywhere.
Everywhere, no redundancies. Every report is in place and up to date. And if you change something, you see all the impact through all your documentation.
Yeah, I remember that when we discussed on the podcast, you had also a kind of a compliance module that is checking that any change is really compliant, and that says to you, yes, it's fine, or no, it's not fine, and then you have to change that. Okay, so digitalization is really something that is growing now. We had also a lot of other people that were showing them their software about validation, implementation. It's something that is starting to be huge. So no more paper. We will save the planet with that, which is great. And in case of audit, you can have everything immediately for showing that to the auditor.
Yes, I mean, you are not starting with the documents. When you start the preparation for an audit, you start on the content level. You look, are the inspectors, we call them inspectors, hello FDA. You look at the red lights, the yellow lights, and everything on the content level is okay, and then you check your documents, if there are any red lights. And if everything is green, then it is everything like you expect it to be. And then of course you can extract your technical documentation to hand it over to your notified body or to your country for submission, for instance. But also we are working now on, maybe scientifically right now, but we're working on methods how we can submit a ETD, electronic technical documentation, right to the notified body. Not only PDFs and paper, but also digital content. So they are, faster with the processes. So this is the idea.
So ETD, for those that are in the pharma industry, they maybe understand the ECTD.
Yes.
But now we will create the ETD with the Meddevo, so I think it's great.
Yeah.
So Michael, thank you for that, and let's enjoy MEDICA.
Yeah, thank you very much and have a good time.
Hi everybody, we are here with Lahoucine Bensalama from Souriau, and I just met him and we discussed about his product. So he's making some connectors and I will let him explain a bit what he's doing. So
hi guys, I'm Lahoucine Bensalama. I'm working for the company Souriau, located in France, in Champagne. So we're providing some connector solution for medical devices. So yeah, we have a full ranges of solution. And we can help you guys with your specification or from some special needs or whatever you need. So
so we discussed also specifically about the fact that those connectors. So there are some standards to follow. And what is great with this company is the fact that they are also providing all the tests needed. So you are doing
some sterilization tests, electrical tests. You have our own laboratory, so you can provide all you need to qualify your devices. So yeah, you have a full expert. You have a lot of experts to help you, and for special requirements too, we can help you.
So made in France.
Yeah,
so,
made in France, yeah, so
if you need a connector, contact Souriau, and then they will provide you all the information.
We'll be happy to help you guys. Yeah.
Great, thank you. One thing that is really difficult here is to find the booth. So I look for one booth, but it's not really clear where it is. It says F52, but now I'm at says F53. I don't know. I will continue to look for it. So yeah, it's really difficult. So I'm here with Mei-Ang from ARQon, and at the MEDICA 2019, she is specialized in the Asian countries, regulation for Asian countries.
Yes, thank you.
And I wanted to check with her what are the requirements for medical device manufacturer. For example, if you are coming from Europe, what are the requirements to register your products in Asia? So, May, can you help us on that?
Right, yeah, so actually in the Asia, separate into the Southeast Asia and also the North Asia.
Okay.
All right. So we have the North Asia of the China, Korea, Japan, and then the Southeast Asia consists of 10 countries. The 10 countries including of the Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines. And then also the rest of the Myanmar, Cambodia, Brunei, and Laos, right? So this, what happened in Southeast Asia, there is this ASEAN Medical Device Directive.
Okay.
So it's quite similar to the European MDD,
so
Medical Device Directive.
You copied the directive and you just rebranded it as Asian Directive.
Yeah, so actually it's a good reference that we need to have a harmonized requirements like what European have did, right?
Okay.
And at that time, we haven't had medical device regulations.
Yeah.
If we have that, then of course we'll incorporate that into the ASEAN medical device regulations. So in this ASEAN Medical Device Directive, it consists of the classifications. Okay. So also similar to 4 classification, but we name it as A, B, C, D.
Okay.
A being lowest, and class D is the highest. Okay. And then we also have a technical documentations. We call that as a CSCT, Common Submission Dossier Templates, that the company have to prepare. So it's about 90% quite similar to the STAT requirements of IMDRF. Yeah. So there's some administration documents that have to comply. Even though we have this AMDD, we don't have this ASEAN mark, right? Okay. Because I think there's some countries that they haven't even set up their own regulations yet. So they'll be familiarized with the requirements. So it takes time to have this ASEAN mark. So probably it will take another phase to go through. So let's come up with these requirements, the basic requirements first for the ASEAN countries. So whenever the country have like, the product have countries approval like from the 5 benchmark like Europe, Australia, FDA, Japan, Canada, right? So the approval process is much easier and also faster.
Faster means what?
So faster means, like, for example, for class B or similar to class 2A of Europe, if you have approval in Europe, one country approval with 3 years in the market already, you can submit to Singapore, for example, and then immediately it will be approved, all right? Or else...
Zero.
Yes.
0 day.
Yes, but of course the authorities still can have time to review and question us.
Okay.
Yeah, right. If anything, that still can stop.
Is it kind of like self-certification that we have in Europe?
No, not self-certifications. Okay. You still have to go through the application process.
Okay.
So, but you can put the product into the market first,
okay,
while the authority take times to review the product.
And they can still come back to you.
They still can come back to you
afterwards.
Correct, correct. Yes. So they can withdraw, cancel the approval if they find that there's any problems with the documentation.
So if our products are already with the MDD certificate, it's nearly following the Asian regulation nearly, so then you have nearly all the documents needed for that. So if you submit there, it's like, yeah, it's easier for everybody. So
because you already have the essential requirements checklist, right? All the validation documents, so it's quite the same. So if you meet the European requirements, you'll be able to meet the Singapore requirements or the rest of the so all the clinical claims must be justified with all the clinical data, even though sometimes Europe approve, right? But the government really look into the clinical evidence, so they may not approve some clinical claims for the product of the European. Yeah. So go back to the benchmark. So if the product have 2 countries approval, even though it's not in the market for 3 years, those new product, you can still submit immediate approval as well.
So if, for example, my product is approved in Europe and in the USA, then when I submit, it's not anymore, I don't need to wait 3 years for market, it's immediate, it can be on the market.
Yes, immediate, but that applies to Class B product, right?
Class B.
Yeah, or Class 2A. For other higher risk products, then it will just like shorter, like 1 to 3 months, right? So the product, let's say the application take about a year or 2 years approval, so it can be shortened to like 6 months to about a year approval. Yeah, correct.
So if you are going directly to the Asia country without having the certification from the MDD or the US, etc., how long can it take?
So without approval, so it will take about a year or 2 years approval. Yeah.
And if you have those registration in the European countries or in the FDA, it can be 6 months to 0 months.
Yes,
right,
correct.
0 days, so it's great.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So there's also a priority road. So if the product fall into the like diabetes area or some other cardiovascular kind of, there's a 5 priority area. Okay. So if you fall into it, you also can choose to go into the priority route much faster.
So is this priority route here because we really need those products in those countries, or what's the reason for that?
Because there's a patient's need, in particular for those kind of like very a lot of populations having that kind of diseases that need further immediate attention. Yeah, so that's why approval will be given for those diseases much faster. Yeah. So talking about other North Asia, right? So the China also doing regulatory reform, all right? So there will be online applications, and also we have the Japan and also Korea. Yeah. So China, Japan, Korea, I would say that China is the toughest. All right. Yeah. Toughest, but because, for example, the testing, some of the testing, electrical testing, the IEC 60601, it will not be applicable. Because the addition is different to be accepted in China.
So you have to have additional tests to do specifically for China.
Yeah, local type testing we call, and some products that also have to do a clinical trial. So the China have listed down the exempted list of product that don't need clinical trial, even though it's stated there, when you use the new materials or innovations technology, or there's a different claims, then it may not be exempted from the clinical trial.
So if I have made clinical trials in Europe for my products, if I submit it to China, maybe they will not accept that because there is some miss, if I can say.
Yeah, because the standards that you apply to is not applicable to them. So normally when you submit, you have to go for the type testing, and the type testing after that they will do a report. So there's a local standards they have to comply with to do a report and submit to the China FDA. Even though you do clinical trial, you also have to get consultations with the China FDA, now we call NMPA, to get approval before you can do a clinical trial. So the process can take for 2 years to 5 years if you do a combinations products. Yeah, but China is a very big market. So if you have the manpower, you can try to do it. So we can help in the registration process. First, for the Japan and Korea, I would say that some class 2 or 3 product is like much because there's some third party that can access it. May not be by the authority itself. For example, the Japan. So you can consider to go into Japan. There's some product require local trial, and some product doesn't require local trial. For Korea I think it's much easy compared to Japan, I would say. So Korea side, there's some testing requirements by them as well, but basically is that really look into the clinical evidence for the products. There is another reimbursement process in Korea, so as long as you can meet the cost under that the reimbursement code, then you should be able to get approval. So reimbursement is not difficult unless that you want a new code in Korea. So that is about more the Asia side. The India is coming out with the changing into the, because it's all under the Asia Harmonization Working Party. So I'm from the AWP last time. Yeah. So a lot of product now is controlled as drug for medical device, but it's just a pool of them. It's just like drug coated stand. Those is controlled as a drug in medical device. So there will be a transitions for them to come in for the rest of the medical device. So I would say that if you come to Asia, which country you want to penetrate first? I will say that some country like Thailand. Thailand is just 2 weeks to 2 months approval. It's very fast for even drug coated stand.
So you recommend to start with Thailand first?
Yeah, I recommend to start with Thailand first. And then Brunei, Laos, no regulation as well. Hong Kong have no regulations, but there's a voluntary phase that you want to consider to go into Hong Kong. Singapore, you can utilize the priority road and the benchmark route to go in. Yeah, if your product have a CE or those 5 countries approval. But those products, no CE or no others benchmark, you can also go into some of these country. Some of this country, because if it's innovations, innovative product, then Singapore have this special access route that you can go in. Yeah.
Okay, so it's really a pathway specifically for that.
For innovations product, but must be very
very innovative.
Innovative. There's no alternative therapeutic device over there.
Good.
Yes.
So guys, if you really want to go to the Asia market, as May said, so there are really some specificities, but yeah, mainly there is the Asian regulation, there is the Chinese regulation, also the Japanese regulation, the Korean regulation, and if you need some support, so ARQon is here to help you and to put that on the market for you and to help you on your project if you have any projects to put the products on the market in the Asia country. And India also, you are helping for India, I suppose.
India, yeah, and also the Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Correct.
So they are really complete. Great.
Thank you for to speak to me today, and I hope that I can help the companies in Asia.
No problem. So thank you everybody. Hello everyone, I'm here with Helene Quie. We had Helene on my podcast. We talked about product equivalence, I think for a CR specifically. So I think it was really a great information that she provided. And today I met her at MEDICA 2019 and I wanted to ask her some few questions about PMCF. So Helene, welcome first to this new episode. What I wanted to ask you is mainly, what is a PMCF and when do I need that on my dossier or on my regulatory activities?
Yeah. Basically, PMCF is part of your PMS, so your post-market surveillance, and PMCF is post-market clinical follow-up. So when you have your PMS, you need to be aware about how to follow your product when it's at the market.
Okay.
And when you increase in the risk classification, then of course the requirement will be higher and higher. And there are, especially for class 3 and implants, there is a requirement to follow it closely in patients, the safety and performance continuously at the market.
So when I'm building my post-marketing surveillance, I should already think about the PMCF.
Yes.
And I think I should create a PMCF plan then that should be included inside.
Yes. Your PMCF plan is a specific part of your clinical evaluation, which is part of your technical documentation.
Okay.
And there are specific requirements which are very nicely lined out in the MDR. And it is, and they're also coming very good guidelines out for MDCG, and they will try and guide you the way on what actually data to collect for which type of documents. So
Okay.
you know there are PMCF studies.
Yeah.
So they can be new investigations that you initiate, and they can be based on, for instance, an example is that you have a very broad indication, but your initial clinical investigation on a high-risk class products is very narrow.
Okay.
And under that broad indication, you might want to add another claim, not a new indication, but maybe a little different patient population, subgroup, whatever, and that will require real clinical evidence, so new clinical investigation.
So it's a new clinical investigation, but it's not a PMCF, or is it?
It is a PMCF.
Okay.
You might have an indication which, as I say, is very broad, but in your clinical trial you are only able to, it's under your indication for use, but because of you normally have restricted inclusion and exclusion criteria during your trial, you don't have the full population, and you know that you direct that in your clinical evaluation, say that's your clinical development plan, that you tell, this is my indication, I will go for my indication here, and then my PMCF, I will broaden out the scope in a broader population, and then collect continuously safety and performance
Okay, so
data.
on the PMCF mainly is when the product is already on the market.
Yeah.
Then you can do a survey, you can do an investigation, as you said. You can do also a literature search. It's what I saw also.
Yes.
So it's something that is possible for them.
Yeah, you have to distinguish, or the MDR asks you to distinguish between passive and active data collection. So literature is a passive, it's something that comes to you, complaints and all these things that comes into the company. But you at the same time will have to go out and seek information, and that's where the studies, your registers, your surveys is of great help. Surveys and user test is mostly about the performance, not so much about the safety.
Okay.
So there you have to go into more clinical studies, and these can be retrospective or they can be prospective, looking forward.
Okay, so we said also that it should be included on the technical documentation.
Yes.
So it means that each year or each 2 years I have to update my technical documentation?
Yeah. You would have to, the CER for a high-risk class product is every year. So you have to keep on your toes and make sure that you have a program where you can collect data which will not kill the company financially. So that's the trick. So find a way that, for instance, with a setup, you can make umbrella protocols where you have different indication underneath, and you can make investigator-initiated studies where the collection of data is relatively easy. You still have to ensure that the data collected is of sufficient quality and amount, like always, basically, and it makes good sense. And of course, if I think the trick is only to collect what you need. There is a tendency, which I see, is that you would like to collect
everything.
Now I started this up and I want to collect everything. It's better to do what is my objective and go strictly after that, and then maybe next time, because you will have to do this continuously. So, prioritize, do your gap assessment on your clinical evidence, and then figure out priority-wise which one is most important for my money and my approval and all these things for the company. Initiate these trials and have your clinical development plan, which will, when it's CE mark, it will be your post-market clinical follow-up plan.
Okay, good. So now there is also a case that people are thinking about, or thinking mostly is mainly, maybe I don't need a PMCF. I don't need that. And it says on the regulation that you can still have justification for not putting in place the PMCF. Does it mean that you will not have on your technical documentation a PMCF plan, but a non-PMCF justification? Is it that?
That's the way. And I think for low-risk class products, there might be cases where that can happen. Yeah.
But do you see, for example, what are really the triggers to say, I don't need that?
I don't see that many triggers.
This is the issue. It's like the fact that there will be some manufacturers who say, no, I don't need that, but what exactly they should think about, say, to have really a great justification to say, I don't need that, because I think there is a lot of notified body that will receive those messages, I have a justification for not putting in place a PMCF. I think they will take the Meddevo and they will just look at all the triggers to initiate a PMCF and say, no, I'm not innovative, no, I'm here on the market since a long time, no, this and that, and put that. But it will not really work.
It will not work, and I think one of the key things is that you have normally approved under very general indication and intended use, and when it's out there in the broader population, it's used for a lot of other things, and you have to take proactively action on that, and that will trigger that you will get this as feedback data to you, and you have to follow it. So even though that you say initially I don't need it, when it hits the market, if it's used, your product, you will get squeezed back. It's new literature, it's new claims that would like to be addressed to this product, it's complaints, it's, so you will have to do something. These activities are also part of your PMS.
And so mainly we see that maybe only class 1 devices that are low risk can really justify for no PMCF, but high risk.
You will still have your PMS, but your PMCF studies you might not need, but you will maybe use surveys, other, not so complicated things to do.
Okay, good. So I hope it answers all your questions about PMCF and maybe some triggers that you think that are applicable to not have a PMCF and it's not. So thank you, Helene, for those information.
Thank you.
So let's enjoy MEDICA.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Let's go!
I am lost.
Hello, my name is Bernhard Zimmerman and I'm working for the company Canvys. The company Canvys is well known in the market for OEM displays. We're doing since more than 20 years OEM displays and building displays with a long-term availability. What is very important is that our displays are minimum for 5 to 10 years or even more in the market. So you have not to change anything, you can keep the same, and that helps you very easy to get rid of all the certifications, documentations, and keep your life very easy in the market. So we're providing plenty of different sizes, starting from 65 inch up to 10.1 inch. And it's like a platform system from the car manufacturer. You can have different panels inside, you have different PCs inside, different touchscreens inside. And so it's a very versatile system. And so it's not as like from a normal consumer grade display where it change every 6 to 12 months everything. So really our displays keep it form, fit and function since 10 years and more.
Changes. This is just a very broad and quick overview. After that, we'll look at the time left for implementation, the issues to prepare for, and then some maybe solutions or advice for you in order to go ahead with implementing the MDR. So this is just quickly an overview, comparison to the current directives that we have, just nearly 65 pages, and the MDR is from the volume just so much more articles, so much more pages, so much more annexes, which in itself is already kind of a problem for a lot of people to just read once.
Here he is.
Hi, Monir.
How are you? Doing good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
How are you?
Very fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I was looking for you.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, really looking for you.
Good. Just standing up because I have a consultancy.
What's that?
That's we have a device management magazine. We have in every community magazine, we have one specific MDR chair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every since start of MDR
Great.
since 2017.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's for every month. That's quite cool.
Great. So here is Stefan Bolleininger from Beyond Quality.